It's not overly firm, but the engine is now quickly picking up. And yeah, this thing is.
Welcome to Drive Culture. I'm Jonathan Rivers, and today we have the 2025 Acura TLX Type S. And I'm going to tell you why this is one of the best premium sports sedans on the market today. So we'll go over the exterior, the interior, the powertrain, and of course, take it for a drive. So if this is content you're after or you're new to the channel, please be sure to click that bell to subscribe to come back for more. And with that, let's get after it. Now, the 2025 Acura TLX Type S is pretty much unchanged from the 2024 TLX Type S. And of course, we already have a video of that here on Drive Culture. So if you haven't watched that one yet, be sure to watch that as well. Now, you would think, well, why are you doing another video if there's no changes? Well, there's actually one small change on the infotainment that we'll cover, but we always like to bring new models years here. We like to drive them, see if there's any differences in the cars. So for those that haven't watched the video, I'm going to pretend like you've never seen it and go over all the details of the 2025 Acura TLX Type S. So first, let's talk about the trims and pricing. Now, for 2025, the price of a TLX Type S is $57,750 MSRP, which doesn't include, things like the paint up charge, destination and handling, things like that. Now, speaking of paint here, we have Acura's Apex Blue Pearl, which has been around for several years, but it still looks great today. Let us know your guys' thoughts and comments down below. What's your favorite paint color for Acura? Do you wish there was a new, different color available on TLX? Let us know down in the comments below. But this paint color, as well as the other premium paint colors, is an additional $600 on top of that price I just mentioned, which would put this over $58,000 MSRP. But with that said, next, let's go ahead and talk about all the exterior details of the TLX Type S. Now, as I mentioned, 2024 for TLX Type S was a mid-cycle refresh where they made some updates to the styling on the exterior, the interior, as well as updating some key technologies and features. However, again, for 2025, there's no updates from 2024. So let's get into the overall styling and what has changed. So TLX launched as a 2021, right? This is the second generation of Acura's premium midsize sedan. And again, when that car launched, it also brought in things like a new turbocharged powertrain, updated super handling all-wheel drive, and a whole new infotainment system and premium audio system for Acura. Fast forward a bit, Type S launched after the standard 2-liter turbo, bringing a new 3-liter turbo to the lineup and bringing back the Type S badge to the Acura brand. And then in 2024, like I said, they made those styling changes to bring it even closer to the original Type S concept. So let's go ahead and go right into the front, right? So TLX Type S has these awesome character lines coming down the hood. You've got these, huge bulges that are really, you can actually see them when you're sitting in the car, which is nice to kind of help point where the front end of the vehicle is, given that TLX has a really long front end, has a really long hood. You also have that nice sharp character line coming down the center, which takes you to the grille. Now, this was one of the updates and key changes for 2024. So it's what Acura calls the open surface diamond pentagon grille, right? That's exclusive to the Type S models. It's different from the A-Spec and the standard TLX. And really, it's there for function to allow additional airflow for that powerful engine. You'll also see the Type S badge off to the right, that huge Acura caliper, and above it, which was new for 2024, a 360 surround view camera system. So that was something people really wanted when Type S launched back in 2021, and they finally added it back in 2024. So really premium design with the grille. It's also frameless now, so there's no kind of outline to it. It just kind of meets the front fascia, which was not changed even since the vehicle launched. But it has these huge intakes down below, which are actually open and functional. There's a huge opening down in the center, which exposes the front mount intercooler for that turbocharged engine. You got a nice black front lip spoiler, which is also part of this whole Type S styling package. And then let's just take a look at the headlights. Those are also unchanged. Those are Acura's Jewel Eye LED headlights with the chicane daytime running lights. So those are still premium, haven't changed, since the car launched. So let's go ahead and make our way to the side of the vehicle so you can take in the whole silhouette, look at the profile TLX. This is an awesome view because it shows that, the car has, like I said, a really long front end and a really short end, rear overhang. So it kind of gives a very, very, almost like rear wheel drive vehicle. And if we take a look here on the side, you can see it's got a really big wheel and tire package. So let's talk about the front wheels. So these are 20-inch wheels at all four corners. It's not a staggered setup, it's a square setup. So these are 255 35 R20 tires, Pirelli, and these are high performance all season tires. Now, previously you could opt for a high performance summer tire with TLX Type S, but that's no longer an option on the actual build and price website. If you still wanted those tires, though, I'm sure you can go to Tire Rack or your local dealer to get those installed. But here, the wheels are 20 inches. They're painted in a Berlina black. Lug nuts are black. You got the Acura caliper there in the middle. And then peering behind there, you can see those huge Brembo brakes. So you got 4-piston front Brembo brake calipers, painted in red, says Acura, says Brembo on there. It looks really, really nice. And boy, do they offer some really good stopping performance, which we'll cover here in the drive. So as we make our way along the side, you got that Type S badging there on the front fender, the black mirror caps with the LED turn signals. Those are also power folding, which is a nice upgrade. You have the black window treatment, and on the rear, you're working with the same wheel and tire setup. Brakes are a little bit smaller in the rear, but you still get a red painted floating caliper, which is nice. And then we'll make our way to the rear. So this is probably still, for me, one of the best views of TLX Type S. So it shows off the hips, how wide the vehicle is. And again, it just has a lot of sporty intention. So starting at the top, you got that gloss black deck lid spoiler. That's been the spoiler on the TLX Type S since it launched. There is an available carbon fiber version of that from the dealership if you want to kind of spice things up a little bit. And it's also a gloss carbon fiber material now. That was actually a change point for 2024 because previously that was a matte if you went with that carbon spoiler. Working your way down the trunk lid, you got those awesome chicane LED tail lights, the huge Acura badge, which also right below it houses the rear view camera. It's kind of hidden away. TLX badge up to the right, Type S, SH all-wheel drive badging, and 4 parking sensors both in the front and rear. But really down below is where the business is. You got a really aggressive gloss black diffuser and those huge 4-inch quad exhaust finishers, which not only look the part, but sound the part, and we'll definitely capture that during the drive event today. So again, this is the styling of TLX Type S. Like I said, there was really no changes for 2025. So next, let's go ahead and jump inside to talk about the interior. All right, here we are inside the Acura TLX Type S. Now, if you get the Apex Blue Pearl exterior color that this car is, you only get one interior color option, and that's what we're in today. It's called Orchid, so it's kind of an off-white interior. So they've kind of reduced some of the options and availability of color combinations back at 2024, but this is what you get. I mean, to me, it complements the blue. It looks really nice and premium, so I don't mind it as well. But since we're talking about the interior color, let's talk about the seats. So one of the things about TLX Type S is both for the driver and the passenger, you get really premium seats. They're both 16 power-way seats, which means you can adjust not only things, of course, like your lumbar, but also the side bolster adjustments, the adjustments down up front. Everything is really, really premium and adjustable, and it comes up as an icon on the center display, which is easy to see which areas you can actually adjust. The other thing is that these are premium Milano seats. They're perforated as well. And there's also this, kind of Alcantara material that carries all the way down from the top of the seat back to the bottom. And that's true for the rear seats, which we'll talk about here in a sec as well. The other nice thing is there's Type S embossed into both the headrests up front to just remind you that you're in something a little special. So really, really premium seats. And they're also 3-stage heated and ventilated for the driver and passenger. So really premium seats here. The next thing that I usually start with is the steering wheel. Feels really great in your hands. It's premium leather. It's perforated here on the sides, contrast stitching, flat bottom steering wheel, and it says Type S down here again to let you know you're in something cool and special. There's paddle shifters, which we'll cover in the drive, but like all Acuras, you kind of have all your volume controls and stuff on the left, all of your cruise control, safety ADAS stuff on the right. And you can see all of that ahead because there's a 12.3-inch digital instrument cluster that was added back in 2024. It's a big improvement over the analog gauges, which looked really nice, but now you got a lot of customization and functionality right in front of you. Also, one of the things that was added back in 2024 was a 10.5-inch full color head-up display, which gives you your speed, your ADAS display, maps, audio, all kinds of functionality right in front of your eyesight there. So what's nice is you now have a 12.3-inch color display, but it's not a touchscreen. Now we know Acura has done that on other models like the new MDX, but TLX still has the true touchpad interface here, which again is pretty easy to use. You also have a volume knob, a power button, track seeking functions down here, all within easy reach. But let us know your guys' thoughts and comments down below. Do you like the true touchpad interface? Would you wish that it was a touchscreen system? Let us know your guys' thoughts and comments down below. One thing that is really nice though that's been updated just for this 2025, I don't think this hit the 24s yet, is now the software is updated to allow CarPlay to take over the entire screen. So before, you only had CarPlay on like maybe 3/4 of the display, and then you had this other panel which would show you your music, navigation, things like that. But now for 2025, CarPlay can take over the entire display, which is a pretty big improvement. Here you have all of your climate control buttons, and most of them are buttons, which is really nice. The buttons for your seats controls as well. Idle stop, brake hold, and your gear selector is all here in easy reach. Now above that, you have this huge dynamic mode dial, and essentially, you click to the left, you click to the right to change to the different modes. And also here in the center where the Acura symbol is, if you push in on that, that lets you customize it further with your individual settings. So again, we'll go over all that during the drive. But outside of that, the TLX was always a premium place to be. There's real leather even all over the dash, contrast stitching over the dash, and in certain key parts of the interior, there's this aluminum trim that looks really premium and can be swapped out at the dealer with glossy carbon fiber. So again, if you do that on the interior and you do that on the spoiler, those are some really nice premium touch points you can add to your TLX. Now, all those same nice materials carry over to the door lining as well. You do have a power moonroof, but not a full panoramic moonroof. However, again, if you're like me and you love audio, this is a great place to be because it still has Acura's ELS Studio 3D Premium sound system with 17 speakers, including 4 above you in the headliner. So there's speakers everywhere and the system still sounds really, really premium. To finalize up here, we got the cup holders, wireless charging pad here, a good space in the armrest here. You have a USB-C for charging, USB-A for data, and a 12-volt socket as well. So lots of premium features, good technology, some updates that they made in 2024, which again carry over here for 2025. So next, let's go ahead and hop in the rear. All right, here we are in the rear of the 2025 Acura TLX Type S. Now, this is the actual driving position that I would be sitting in. So to give you an idea, I'm 5'10". This shows you, how much space is back here. So pretty good knee room from behind the seats. They do have these kind of plastic covers here, matte pockets on both sides as well. Also really good headroom, pretty good shoulder room. You're really, even though, you could technically have a person sit here in the middle, you do have this hump here in the floor. So it's really going to be meant for like 2 full-size adults back here. But pretty good space, all things considered. Obviously, if you had someone that was much taller than me sitting in the driver's spot, that's going to, compromise knee room quite a bit. But at least I can get my feet under the seat, which is nice. And so, yeah, for me, it's enough space back here. There's obviously latches. You kind of pull back this leather area here to expose the child latches, so you can put booster seats back here, car seats even. Again, it might be a little bit tight depending on how big your car seat is though. On the door lining, still good materials, the same kind of metal speaker grills for that ELS Studio sound system, contrast stitching throughout. The seats and materials are pretty much what you get up front as well. So you get that, suede surfacing, the perforation. So, didn't skimp out on the material quality back here. It's really nice. Even here in the center armrest, you pull it down, exposes cup holders and maybe a place to, put your phone. And it's a really nice soft leather material, which is nice. Back here, you do have vents and the ability to, open and close them, but you don't have actual climate controls back here. Down below though, you do get 2 USB-C charge ports. So you got some connectivity and charging back here, which is nice. And like I said, overall pretty nice materials. So next, let's go ahead and hop outside to talk about the cargo space. So let's go ahead and check out the cargo space of the TLX Type S. Now, if you have the key fob on you, obviously there's a button there to pop it open, a button on the door inside to obviously pop it open. But if you're on the outside here and if you've never owned this car or used it before, you might be like, okay, where is the button? How do I open it? So actually the little trick is the button is here, kind of hidden in this passenger side tail light. But if you look close and once you know where it is, then you'll know which button to push. But you push it, and what's nice about TLX is it's not power operated, it's a spring operation though. So it kind of, shoots itself all the way open, which is nice. If you did, if you're carrying something and it just popped open for you, so that's a nice feature. What you'll notice is there's grab handles here to release the seats. They are a 60-40, folding seat in the rear, which is nice. One of the things though is if you look straight back, you won't have access to a full pass-through. It does open up, but on the TLX Type S, they actually have special body bracing in the back, right? They call it like an A-brace. And what that does is help with body rigidity. So that is going to limit what you can pass through, but it is for the added performance. So, hey, can't complain about that. What I will say though, is you look around and inside, it is a lot of space back here, and it's actually measured at 13.5 cubic feet of space. So pretty good space, competitive in the segment. Down below, you don't really get much. There's just a small cutout in foam below, but really that's it. You don't have a lot of underfloor storage or anything like that. So next, let's go ahead and talk about the powertrain. So next, let's go ahead and talk about the powertrain of the TLX Type S. Now here, we've got the hood up on struts, and even if you look underneath, you can see there's lots of heat shielding underneath the hood here, and that's for this high performance turbocharged engine. You'll even see additional heat shielding here next to the turbo and cat. It's all right here. It's in your face to show off the performance. Now, you also have a nice engine cover here with a huge Acura caliper as well. So let's talk about the performance of this thing. So the standard TLX just uses a 2-liter turbocharged engine, which is a 4-cylinder. This is a 6-cylinder, 3-liter turbocharged engine. Now, it's a single turbo. It's not twin turbo, but essentially the turbocharger is twin scroll, which really helps to spool it up quickly and helps with low end and mid-range torque. Now, this engine makes 355 horsepower and 354 foot-pounds of torque, made it exclusively to a 10-speed automatic transmission and super handling all-wheel drive. It's the only way the TLX Type S comes out, and there's no better way than to prove that out than to get behind the wheel. So next, let's go ahead and take this thing for a drive.
All right, guys, here we are inside the 2025 Acura TLX Type S. We're gonna go ahead and take this thing for a drive. So go ahead, put my seatbelt on, foot on the brake, hit the engine start stop. Starts right up. Guys, it has a nice little engine growl for sure, that V6 growl. We'll definitely try out some of the drive modes here as always, kind of cycle through things. But with that, let's just talk about, again, you got Acura's push button style gear selector here. And we've talked about this in all the other Acuras we drive. You push it once to get into drive, you push it again to get into sport transmission setting. We'll also talk about how all that works here in a second. So let's make sure I'm in normal, which is kind of the default setting. I am, and I'll go ahead and put it in drive and take off. One of the other things I always talk about is, as long as you got your seatbelt on and you push the gas, the parking brake will automatically disengage itself. So as long as you got your seatbelt in, that's like what triggers it. And it's a nice feature. You don't have to always pull or push to release the electronic parking brake. So that's nice here. But one of the things we'll just talk about real quick before we really get into the performance of the TLX Type S is, they kind of, combine what were some of these advanced TLX features and added them into the TLX Type S here. And so what that did is that gave it, additional sound deadening and enhanced, noise, vibration, hardness throughout. And it really feels that way. This feels like a really rock solid cabin. It's very, very quiet. It's good even on the freeway. You don't get too much, wind noise, road noise. Luckily, you do get lots of engine noise and exhaust noise, which is nice in this car. But, tooling around in normal mode is great. If I cycle to the left on the dynamic mode, I actually can go to comfort. And what that does is that changes the adaptive suspension setting on TLX2. It makes it a lot softer, more compliant, makes the steering a lot lighter as well, and really just kind of dials back everything, like the sound, the throttle response. This would be a great just cruising mode and might actually help you get some decent, fuel economy, because otherwise this thing likes to drink gas. But yeah, like I said, that's a really, really nice ability to just kind of cycle through all these different drive modes. There's a big Acura symbol here. If you push that in and hold it, it brings up this menu to kind of individualize your vehicle. So if you want maybe the softer setting but for the suspension, but want the more aggressive throttle response or the heavier steering, you can kind of piecemeal all those things and customize your mode. So if you guys have a favorite mode, let us know down in the comments below what your settings are for TLX and for other Acura models or really other vehicles that have an individual setting. So here we are just taking off, and like I said, it's super quiet. Just really, really, compliant. Suspension's awesome. The steering, a little bit on the light side, but it's very, very direct. It's very, very good. Just overall, really good feeling. So again, I'm in comfort. Just switch back to normal. You do get some changes to the gauges themselves. It'll show you a graphic on the center display of what mode you're in, as well as two. So normal, like I said, it just, the difference between comfort and normal is pretty noticeable. The suspension kind of comes to a very good, kind of more supple, but still kind of firm. It's not overly firm. That's why it's normal. This would be kind of the default everyday driving setting. You can also disengage the idle stop, so we'll go ahead and do that. But yeah, normal feels really good. The steering definitely got a little bit heavier, but again, not overly heavy as well. Like I said, normal sounds good. You get a little bit more noise, induction noise and whatnot as well too. But it's really once you turn this thing into sport and then ultimately Sport Plus that really dial up the sound and the performance of TLX Type S. So unfortunately, I got kind of stuck here behind a truck. So I'm going to let him go ahead here a little bit. So next I'm going to switch it into sport mode. So if you turn into the right once, get a lot of different changes here to the gauge cluster, the center display, and instantly, yeah, you can hear the difference in sound. You get a lot more induction sound now. Going over this train tracks. That was about 20 miles an hour. Really, really good. No shock to the chassis or suspension there. So that's really, really good tuning there. And we'll come over here against another train track. I'm going to go a little bit faster. You can see how that is here as you go over the track. Let's just see here. Normally, if you go over this one at any decent speed, there's some pretty good hop. So we'll see how the TLX handles it. That was pretty good. And that's in sport mode too. So I'm going to go ahead and hold as I turn to the right to put it in Sport Plus, and then instantly the kind of transmission kicks in gear, and let's see how it does now. Steering definitely got more firm, but it's not overly firm, but the engine is now quickly picking up, and yeah, this thing it gets up, man. The one deceiving thing is, the car has a lot of mid-range torque, so I think you have a tendency to just go wide open throttle and mat it. But if you kind of just sit in the power band and just hold it, it gives this kind of super linear, almost like locomotive effect, and the car just takes off. And it is really easy to get up into almost triple digit speeds, which we're not doing here, but it's really easy given the power and where the power is in the band. But let's go ahead and take off. I'm going to go ahead and hit S to put it in the sport transmission setting. So now we've got a full attack mode. We're going to floor. Here we go. Yeah, I mean, TLX Type S gets up, man. And that was even a downshifting on its own as I got hard into the brakes. So it's holding the gear. I mean, we're at 5,000 RPM, and this lets you stabbing the brakes, it kind of automatically downshifts for you, and it's nice because it can do as many as 4 downshifts at a time, which is really, really nice, just to put you right into the power band, right? So feels really good, sounds really good. Yeah, I mean, here we go around the turn again, and because one of the nice things about this car is the super handling all-wheel drive system. It has the ability to send up to 100% of the power to the rear wheels, and then another up to 70% to either the outboard wheels to help rotate the vehicle around. And if you've watched our other videos, not only on the TLX, but even the MDX and the RDX that have a similar system, you'll know that I always talk about how much fun these cars are to drive, because it does give you that kind of oversteer effect. It kind of swings out the rear end, but never dangerously, doesn't feel out of control. It's always just very it's very precise, what's happening. You can feel the vehicle starting to rotate. And what's interesting about that is, normally your tendency is, as you're turning in, is to let off throttle and kind of just steer the vehicle. Well, these cars with super handling all-wheel drive, they kind of want you to do the opposite. They want you to literally kind of, push in and give it more gas as you're turning in to kind of, again, help rotate the vehicle. So I think that is a really, really kind of neat feature about these cars. It also makes these cars really, really fun to drive. So like I said, this car gets up. It sounds even better on the outside versus the inside. You still get some of the exhaust sound. You can still hear a lot of the induction noise on the inside, but it's on the outside of this car that you hear that poof, as it's shifting gears, especially from first, second, and third. It sounds really aggressive pulling away. So we'll see if we can actually get some of that sound for you here. But yeah, TLX Type S, still a great premium sedan. Let us know your guys' thoughts and comments down below. Are you going for something like this? Are you going from one of the European competitors, or one of even the Korean competitors that are out there today? Or are you even going something like an EV, right? Are you going like a Model 3 or something to get this kind of performance out of your sedan? So we'll do one last blast, and then we'll go ahead and wrap up this video. So like I said, in the sport transmission setting, this is where you can start to use the paddle shifters. And again, it's very quick to shift gears. And like I said, it'll basically hold the gears in most instances. Sometimes it'll upshift for you, but that's just trying to protect the transmission here. But as I get into it, oh yeah, that totally spun the car out, and that was awesome. So here we go, and then we'll do a quick test of the brakes, those brembos, and man, this thing stops on a dime. So there you have it, guys. TLX Type S. It's a ton of fun to drive. Hope you enjoyed the video, and with that, we're gonna go ahead and wrap up this drive review.
All right, guys, that's a wrap. What do you think of the 2025 Acura TLX Type S. Is this one of the best performance sedans on the market today? I mean, obviously there's a ton of raves, over SUVs. There's a lot of people also shopping for EVs, things like that. But can you beat this turbo V6 engine, that's super handling all-wheel drive, in this sleek sedan body style? Let us know your guys' thoughts and comments down below. We also have other videos of TLXs on the channel, the A-Spec, as well as previous model year Type S TLXs as well, and of course a host of other Honda, Acura, and even other competitor products here on the channel. So if you've joined us before, thank you so much, but if you're new to the channel, please be sure to click that bell to subscribe to come back for more. Thanks, and we'll see you at the next episode.